I need to tell you about January 18th, 2020. I was standing in a Catholic church in the United Kingdom. I had just done something I thought would make God proud. I was wrong. What I'm about to tell you isn't a story about finding faith. It's about what happened when I tried to destroy it. We sat in the back row. 4 of us. Me, Jamal, Rashid, Yusuf. We dressed in our regular clothes. Nothing that would draw attention. But people still looked anyway. An older woman, maybe 70, smiled at us as we came in. I nodded, didn't meet her eyes. The church was beautiful, I'll give them that. It had high ceilings, stained glass throwing colors across the stone floor. The smell of incense was everywhere, thick, almost sweet. It was quiet. Then the priest began ministering. His voice was calm. He spoke in Latin first, then English. I didn't understand most of what he said, but I knew what was coming. The Eucharist. The moment they believe bread becomes God. The congregation knelt, all of them. The sound of knees hitting stone echoed through the church. Then the bells. 3 sharp rings. That was our signal. We stood. My heart was pounding so hard I thought people could hear it. My hands shook as I pulled out my phone to hit record on my camera. We started reciting, loud, in Arabic. I bear witness there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his messenger. Our voices cut through the silence like a blade. The priest stopped mid-prayer. His hand froze over the chalice. All heads turned towards our direction. A child started crying. I saw a man stand up. His wife grabbed his arm, pulled him back down. We walked toward the altar. I kept filming. My breathing was loud in my ears, short, excited. We reached the statue of Virgin Mary. Her hands were open like she was offering something. Jamal shoved it first. It tipped and fell, hit the floor with a dull crack. Rashid stomped on it. The head broke off. Yusuf kicked the pieces. We laughed. I filmed all of it, including the crunch of plaster under our boots, the gasps from the pews. I filmed every single thing. I panned the camera across the congregation. I expected rage, anger, maybe someone or the entire group rushing at us. Instead, I saw tears. An old man in the front row was weeping, his face in his hands. A young mother covered her daughter's eyes, but her own face wasn't angry. It was sad. The priest raised his hand. His voice was steady. This was the exact thing he said. Everyone, please, do not call the police. Pray for them. And they did. Hundreds of people bowed their heads. They started praying, not in Latin, in English. A low murmur that built into something I didn't have a word for. My camera shook. I stopped recording. We left. The heavy wooden door closed behind us. No one followed us. We went back to our flat. We all pulled out our phones and replayed the video. We laughed, gave ourselves high five. Rashid kept rewinding to the part where the statue hit the floor. Jamal edited the footage and added a text in Arabic, the truth in the heart of shirk. Yusuf said we should post it immediately. Rashid agreed. I hesitated, just for a second. Then I uploaded it. Within an hour, the comments started coming in. Some called us brave brothers. Others said, Mashallah. This is what courage looks like. I felt electricity throughout my body. I imagined my father seeing it. I imagined him calling me with pride in his voice. I imagined Muslims all over the world watching, following our example. That night I lay in bed with my phone glowing in the dark. I scrolled through comments, hundreds of them. I prayed Isha with satisfaction and slept deeply. I was 7 the first time I understood what it meant to be seen. We were at the mosque in my hometown in Tirana, Albania. It was a small place, the kind where everyone knows everyone. Afternoon light came through the arched windows in soft beams. I sat beside my father. His hand rested on my shoulder. The Imam led the recitation. I followed along in my little Quran, the one my mother had bought me. My finger traced the Arabic letters even though I couldn't read them yet. I was just copying the shapes. After prayers, the Imam walked over. He knelt down so we were eye to eye. "Your father tells me you're memorizing," he said. I nodded. "Can you recite for us?" I recited Surah Al-Fatiha. My voice was small, but I didn't stumble. The men smiled. My father's face, I'll never forget it. He was beaming. The Imam placed his hand on my forehead and said, "May Allah bless you." That moment planted something in me. I learned that righteousness wasn't just something you felt, it was something you showed. And when you showed it, people loved you for it. By the time I was 10, faith wasn't just part of our life, it was our life. We lived in a modest apartment in Tirana with Quranic calligraphy on the walls. The smell of bayrek and chai rose almost every evening. We always ate together. Before the meal, my mother would lead us in dua. Her voice was soft, but you didn't interrupt. One night, my father was quieter than usual. A business deal had fallen through. He didn't seem angry, though. "Allah knows best," he said. "If it didn't happen, it wasn't meant for me." That's how he saw everything. Nothing was random. Everything had a reason. After dinner, my mother quizzed me on Surah Yusuf. I recited it flawlessly. She kissed my forehead. My little sister, Layla, struggled with a verse. She kept mixing up two words. My mother corrected her, gently, but she made her repeat it until she got it right. "The Quran is not just words," my mother said. "It is Allah speaking to you. When you memorize, you carry His voice." My father nodded. Every prayer, every fast, every act of obedience, it's an investment. You will see the return. If not in this life, then the next. I believed him. Faith wasn't abstract. It was a system. You put in obedience, you got protection. You deviated, you lost it. It made sense. It felt safe. By 12, I wasn't just memorizing anymore. I was performing. It was a Friday, Jumu'ah prayer. The mosque was packed. The Imam invited me to recite in front of everyone. Surah Ar-Rahman, 19 minutes. I didn't miss a word. The men murmured their approval. Elderly men nodded. My father's chest swelled. After the prayer, families came up to congratulate him. One man, someone I didn't know, shook my father's hand and said, "Your son will lead us one day." I felt proud, but I also felt something else. Pressure. I wasn't just Kareem anymore. I was the boy who memorizes, the example, the one parents pointed to when they wanted their own kids to try harder. I didn't mind it. Not really. But I knew, even then, that I couldn't fail. Not publicly. Not ever. I was 14 when I first saw what Christians actually believed. It was a school field trip. We went to a Catholic church in Shkoda, a city in northern Albania with a lot of Catholic history. The teacher walked us through, explaining the architecture, the arches, the artwork. I wasn't paying much attention. Then I saw the crucifix. Jesus, bloodied, nailed to wood, his head slumped forward. I felt something twist in my stomach. Not because of the violence. I'd seen worse in history books. It was the theology. Why would they worship a man? If he was truly God, why would they make him suffer? A girl from my class who was a Catholic walked up to a side altar. She lit a candle, crossed herself. I whispered to the friend next to me, "This is shirk, the worst sin in Islam. Associating partners with God." I left that church with something hardened inside me. Christianity wasn't just different. It was dangerous. October 2019. I was leaving for school because I had just gotten a scholarship to study in the United Kingdom. I pushed my luggage cart through those long fluorescent corridors. Everything was bright, clean, efficient. I stepped into the arrivals hall. There was advertisements everywhere. West End shows, coffee chains, a poster for a Christmas market, Santa Claus and snow. I took the train to Birmingham. Through the window, I watched the city pass by. Church spires, crosses on top of hospitals, a billboard advertising a Marian pilgrimage. My mother had warned me. She made me promise I'd find a mosque immediately, pray on time and not compromise. But I wasn't prepared for how Christian it would feel. Not just the buildings. The air itself felt occupied. I found a mosque my first week. Converted warehouse in Birmingham, concrete floors, fluorescent lights, donated prayer rugs that didn't quite match. It wasn't like home, but it was something. After Maghrib prayer, a few of us gathered in a side room for tea. That's when I met them. Jamal, Pakistani, confident, the kind of guy who could talk to anyone. Rashid, Moroccan, quieter, intense. Yusuf, Somali, youngest of the group, eager. Jamal noticed I was new. He came over, handed me a cup of tea. First time here? I nodded. Where you from? Albania. His face lit up. Mashallah, brother. We need more of us here. This country forgets God. I felt something loosen in my chest. Relief. I wasn't alone. Rashid mentioned a news story he'd read. A church had refused to remove a cross so Muslims could use the space for prayer. The group talked about it. Frustration appeared just below the surface. They act tolerant, Jamal said, but they're not. They just hide it better. I nodded. I didn't say much that first night, but I listened. And I felt understood. A few weeks later, after Isha prayer, we sat in a circle. Jamal was talking. He always led these conversations. Christians here think they're tolerant, he said. But tolerance isn't truth. They smile at us while worshipping a man. Rashid leaned forward. It's worse than atheism. Atheists admit they don't know. Christians insist on shirk. Yusuf nodded. In Somalia, we know who the enemy is. Here, they hide behind politeness. I hesitated, then spoke up. But isn't our job to call them to Islam? Dawah, not confrontation? Jamal looked at me. Dawah is confrontation, brother. You think the Prophet, peace be upon him, was polite to idolaters? I didn't have an answer. Something shifted in me that night. Christianity wasn't just wrong. It was active opposition to truth. And my silence looked like complicity. A month later, Jamal went to a Catholic church. He didn't tell us beforehand, just showed up one Sunday morning. Out of curiosity, he said. When he came back, he was furious. We met at the mosque that evening. He could barely sit still. You need to hear this, he said. He described what he'd seen. They kneel in front of statues, like pagans. The priest holds up bread and says, "This is God," and they believe of him. He paused, looked at us. There was an elderly woman. She kissed a statue of Mary with tears running down her face. His voice dropped. I wanted to scream. Yusuf spoke first. We should go. All of us. We should see this for ourselves. Rashid looked at him. And do what? Then everyone paused. Jamal's eyes were cold. We should do something. We met at Jamal's flat a few nights later. Jamal had been researching Catholic mass structure, rituals, timing. He explained the consecration, the moment Catholics believe bread becomes Christ's body. We recite Shahada, he said, right then, right when they're worshipping bread. Yusuf leaned back. And the statues? Jamal nodded. We break one. We're removing an idol. I felt my stomach tighten. Won't we be arrested? Jamal shrugged. Maybe, but we'll have video. It'll spread. Other Muslims will follow. I thought about my father. Would he be proud? Would he be worried? I thought about Allah. I imagined standing before him, Being asked, "Did you defend my oneness?" I imagined saying yes. I agreed. We chose a nearby Catholic church there in the United Kingdom. We rehearsed the Shahada together and timed it. 30 seconds. I didn't sleep much that week. But I told myself it was conviction. On January 18th, 2020, I woke before Fajr. I got up, prayed alone. My dua was specific. Ya Allah, give me courage, let this be accepted. I stayed on the prayer mat longer than usual. I didn't want to lift my head. We ate breakfast in silence. No one talked. Jamal reviewed the plan one last time. Everyone checked their phones, made sure the recording would work. My stomach was tight, but I told myself it was adrenaline, not doubt. We walked into the church and sat in the back row. 4 of us. Me, Jamal, Rashid, Yusuf. We dressed in our regular clothes. But people still looked anyway. An older woman, maybe 70, smiled at us as we came in. I nodded. Didn't meet her eyes. It was quiet. Then the priest began ministering. His voice was calm. He spoke in Latin first, then English. I didn't understand most of what he said, but I knew what was coming. The Eucharist. The moment they believe bread becomes God. The congregation knelt, all of them. The sound of knees hitting stone echoed through the church. Then the bells. 3 sharp rings. That was our signal. We stood. My heart was pounding so hard I thought people could hear it. My hands shook as I pulled out my phone to hit record on my camera. We started reciting, loud, in Arabic. I bear witness there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his messenger. Our voices cut through the silence like a blade. The priest stopped mid-prayer. All heads turned towards our direction. A child started crying. I saw a man stand up. His wife grabbed his arm, pulled him back down. We walked toward the altar. I kept filming. My breathing was loud in my ears, short, excited. We reached the statue of Virgin Mary. Her hands were open, like she was offering something. Jamal shoved it first. It tipped and fell, hit the floor with a dull crack. Rashid stomped on it. The head broke off. Yusuf kicked the pieces. We laughed. I filmed all of it, including the crunch of plaster under our boots, the gasps from the pews. I filmed every single thing. I panned the camera across the congregation. I expected rage, anger, maybe someone or the entire group rushing at us. Instead, I saw tears. An old man in the front row was weeping, his face in his hands. A young mother covered her daughter's eye, but her own face wasn't angry. It was sad. The priest raised his hand. His voice was steady. This was the exact thing he said. Everyone, please, do not call the police. Pray for them. And they did. Hundreds of people bowed their heads. They started praying, not in Latin, in English. A low murmur that built into something I didn't have a word for. My camera shook. I stopped recording. We left. We walked quickly. But we didn't run. The street outside the church was narrow. I glanced back once. The church door was closed. No one had followed. Jamal laughed. Sharp, nervous. We did it. Wallahi, we did it. Yusuf didn't say anything. Rashid's hands were shaking. I felt nothing. We got back to the flat that evening, took out our phones, and we watched the video, over and over, a dozen times at least. He edited it, added Quranic recitation as background audio, made the text overlay sharper. When it was ready, he looked at me. You should post it. My finger hovered over the button. I uploaded it. Within minutes, the comments started pouring in. Brave brothers. Mashallah, you stood for truth. May Allah reward you. But not all of them were positive. Some were horrified. One comment stood out. "You have brought shame. The Virgin will not forget." I scrolled past it and dismissed it. That night, I lay in bed. I didn't feel victorious anymore. I felt exposed, like something was watching me. Then the next morning, I woke up to pain. My right leg, from the knee down to the ankle, was swollen. The skin was tight, red, hot to the touch. I tried to stand, but I fell back down. Jamal woke up, saw me on the floor. "What's wrong?" "My leg." He helped me back onto the bed, called for help. I was rushed to the emergency room of a hospital. There were fluorescent lights everywhere, everything too bright. A young doctor examined me. They took X-rays and blood tests. I waited. Then the doctor came back. The X-rays show nothing. Blood work shows slight inflammation, but no infection. "So what is it?" He hesitated. "Possibly an allergic reaction. Or trauma. Did you injure it?" "No." He prescribed anti-inflammatories, told me to rest and let him know if anything changes in the next 48 hours. I left. But the pain didn't. 2 days later, I was still in bed with my leg swollen. Ice packs didn't help. My phone rang. It was Jamal. His voice was tight. I heard him say, "Rashid can't walk. His knee is big, like the size of a melon." I sat up. "What?" "Same thing as you, out of nowhere." "Did he go to a doctor?" "Yeah. They found nothing." I hung up. A text came through my phone immediately I got off the phone. It was Yusuf. The message read, "My foot. I can't put weight on it." I stared at the screen and sat there in silence. Maybe it was coincidence or stress. That's what I told myself. But a cold fear was settling in my chest. By day 5, I was back in the hospital. The swelling had gotten worse. My leg was nearly double its normal size. They admitted me, ran more tests. MRI, ultrasound, biopsy. I lay there while machines hummed around me. The results came back. Severe inflammation, no identifiable cause. No blood clot, no tumor, no autoimmune markers. A senior consultant came in. He was an older man with grey hair. He looked tired. "I've never seen anything like this," he said. He was honest. I'll give him that. They gave me morphine. It dulled the pain, but it didn't stop it. It felt like fire inside the bone. Then there was this day, at 2 a.m. in the morning. The hospital room was dark. I was half asleep, exhausted. The pain had become background noise. I opened my eyes and saw this woman in the corner of the room. She wore a blue veil. Her face was calm and sorrowful. She didn't move and didn't speak. I blinked multiple times to see if it was a dream. She was still there. I pressed the call button. A nurse came in. A young Filipino nurse, I think. "Can you see her?" I pointed. "The woman in blue?" She looked. "There's no one here." "She's right there." The nurse checked my vitals, gave me a sympathetic look. "It's probably the medication. Pain meds can cause hallucinations." She left. But I knew. I recognized that it was the face from the statue. Another day, it was afternoon. I was lying in bed, staring at the ceiling as usual. A man knocked on the door. He said, "I'm Father Thomas, the chaplain here. I heard you've been struggling." I turned my head. "I don't need a priest." He smiled, gently, sat down anyway. "I'm not here to convert you. I'm here because you're suffering." I didn't answer. But he waited. Finally I spoke. "Your God is punishing me." He shook his head. "Our God doesn't punish like that. I destroyed your statue. I mocked your church. Now I can't walk. You think that's a coincidence?" There was a long pause. He leaned forward slightly. "I think you met someone you weren't ready to meet, and she's waiting for you to come back." I felt something crack inside me. Before he left, he stopped at the door. "If you want this to end, you know where to go." That night, I lay alone in the hospital room, staring at the ceiling. I thought about the woman in blue. I thought about what the priest had said. "She's waiting for you to come back." I prayed. Not to Allah, not really. Just into the void. "If you're real, show me." No voice answered. But the pain got sharp in that moment, like it was a response. I understood then that I couldn't escape this. The only way forward was back. I discharged myself. Against medical advice. The doctors tried to stop me. I didn't care. I took a taxi to the church, the same one we had gone to, the one in Birmingham. When I arrived, there was a small crowd outside. Word had spread. The church doors were open. Incense, candles, silence. Father Thomas was waiting. He didn't say anything. He just nodded. I wheeled myself inside. The statue was on the side of the altar. It was the statue of the Virgin Mary. I stopped the wheelchair. With everything I had, I tried to stand straight. My legs screamed. I took one step. Then another. People were watching. I could feel their eyes. Then I reached the statue and knelt down before it. I didn't plan what to say. The words just came when I opened my mouth to talk. "I don't know if you can hear me. I don't know if you're real. But I'm sorry, I was afraid. I was angry. I thought I was defending God, but I was only defending myself." I placed my hand on the base of the statue. "If you're listening, forgive me." The moment I finished, the pain stopped. Not even gradually. It was instantly. I looked down. The swelling was reducing, right in front of my eyes. Within 2 minutes, my leg was back to normal. I flexed my right foot to check for the pain. But there was no pain. The congregation gasped. Some wept, others applauded. Like it was some movie they just watched. I collapsed on the floor. Not from pain that just disappeared, but from the weight of what had just happened. 2 hours later, I was led into the father office to sit and rest. It was a small room with books on the shelves and a wooden crucifix on the wall. I couldn't stop looking at my leg. What just happened to me? He leaned back in his chair. "You were seen. You were forgiven. Now you have to decide what to do with that." I didn't hesitate before I said, "I want to be Catholic." He looked at me for a long time. "This isn't a transaction, Karim. Faith isn't gratitude for healing. If you pursue this, your life will become much harder." "I know." He nodded. "Then we'll begin." 1 week later, I called my parents in the evening. It was a video call. My mother answered. Her face lit up when she saw me. Then it fell. She knew something was wrong. "Karim?" she called out to me. "Mama, I need to tell you something." I explained the church, the statue, the healing, my decision. Then my father appeared on the screen. His face was like a stone. "You have disgraced us. Baba, please. You are no longer my son." Then they hung up and the screen went black. I sat there not knowing whether to cry or not cry. The loss was total. I went to the mosque one last time to collect my things. Jamal saw me. He walked over. "You're dead to us." Rashid spat at my feet. Yusuf looked away. I lost everything, including all kinds of support from my parents. That evening, the father took me to the parish hall, introduced me to the parish council. A family offered me a room with no questions asked. Another offered me a job in a bookshop. It was part-time. Then an elderly woman brought me dinner. I recognized her. She was the same woman who had smiled at me in the church. She set the plate down in front of me. "We prayed for you every day since that moment," she said. She smiled. "Welcome home." I felt something I'd never felt before. Love. Not because I had earned it. Not because I had performed. Just because I was. The next few months I studied more about my new faith. Father and I met regularly, sometimes in the church library, sometimes at coffee shops. We read the Catechism, the Gospels. I had questions, a lot of them. One day we were talking about the Eucharist, and I asked him, "How can bread be God?" He looked at me and answered, "How can God become man? If you accept the Incarnation, the Eucharist is not harder." I sat with that for weeks. And slowly, something shifted. I began to see Christianity not as corruption of monotheism, but as fulfillment of it. God doesn't remain distant. Many months later, I stood at the baptismal font in a white robe. My hands were shaking. Father stood across from me. He poured water over my head. 3 times. "I baptize you in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit." I rose and everyone clapped. I didn't expect that. I closed my eyes. I felt peace. That's the only word for it. Peace. I haven't spoken to my parents in years. My sister still sends messages sometimes, but she can't be seen talking to me. I've been threatened online. Twice I've had to move for safety. I have no money, no status, no certainty about the future. But I sleep without fear. I wake without shame. I am known, not for what I memorize or perform or destroy, but because I am loved. Not by a distant God, but by one who let himself be broken so I wouldn't have to break others. I thought I was defending God. I didn't realize I was the one who needed defending.